Next up is number, and number can be integers or decimals also. So let's say I have these three variables: zip code, price, and quantity. Zip code is 560025. It would be treated as an integer. Price is 100.25. It will be treated as float. And quantity is equal to 50. It will be treated as integer. And just like string, we can initialize these variables also if you do not want to put any value. Let's say I want to initialize total price in decimal. You can mention total price equal to float. So this function is used to initialize a decimal value. Similarly, we can use the function end to initialize an integer value. And the number of operations on a variable are not as much as string. So one of them is integer, which basically tells whether a particular is integer or not. Then we have a round operation, which can be used to create a rounding of the value, and it would be round to this particular number of digits before the dot and number of digits after the dot. We can also convert it to hex, or we can create an integer value from hex value also. Then there are few other operations like coerce, power, div mode, absolute. So power is basically, let's say 2 to the power 3, you can mention POW 2 comma 3. And coerce should translate two numbers into the same form. For example, we mention 2.5 comma 3. Then what would happen is both of them would be converted to float. And div mod would divide, let's say, x by y, and it will return a tuple which would contain the remainder and the quotient. And then we have absolute, which will give you the absolute value. And let's do some hands-on as usual. So first let's initialize a variable int. So now a has been initialized as int. Now if I just type a, it will show me the value. I do not have to use print here. That's why I'm using command line. So it has been initialized as 0. Now if I initialize it with float and type a again, it has been initialized as with 0.0. Similarly, I can use string also. I did not show you string in the last video. So if it is string, then it will be initialized with blank. All right. So now let us actually put some value here. First would be 56001, then maybe 500.75, and then C23. So these are the two values. First, let's try to find out whether they are integer or not. So let's say a dot is integer. It is showing true. What about b? It's false. So b is integer is false, and c is integer should be true. Now let's try coerce. So what will I do is I have a, b, and c. So let me change a with b data type. Okay, I think in the latest version of Python, coerce has been deprecated. Let's do power. 2 to the power 5 should give us 32. And let's say div mod and maybe 81 divided by 12. And the quotient is 6 and the remainder is 9. Then let's say I have another variable d, and this is the value of d. Then if I have to round it to two decimal numbers, I can mention d followed by the number of decimal numbers. So it is giving me 0.67. So these are some of the operations that you can do using integers or numbers.